I got in shape and asked to open our relationship. Now I'm divorced and I can't get him back. A simple suggestion I made has cost me my marriage. My loving husband has decided that he is done and he can't continue our marriage. Hello guys, my name is Eloise and I am a 30 years old freelancer. I'm married and the name of my husband is Mike. Mike and I have been married for 4 years and have known each other since our high school days. Mike is 33 years old. He is a lawyer and is doing very much for himself. Mike and I had a wonderful relationship growing up. We practically lived across the street from each other. Our family was the type that was so close. We also went to the same school. At first we knew each other but weren't close. An incident happened that brought us close. I was a big girl, very big for my age. I was very chubby growing up. I never saw it as a big deal until I got to high school, and I was being bullied by other students. I didn't really care at first because my mother would always tell me that I was a special child, and I should always hold my head up high no matter what. I believed her, and so I tuned out all the other noises. But it became worse as I progressed in school. A new bully each session. I was exhausted, and it was getting to me. Anytime the holiday was over, I was the most angry person. I disliked going to school. The thought of waking up early in the morning and dressing up for school was traumatizing for me. Unlike every other normal child that would be excited to go, I would be so sad. My parents kept moving from one city to another because of me. But they stopped when I got to high school because it wasn't really helping me academically. My grades were really not improving and the bully got worse. I had to face my fears and embraced my new school, but settling into my new school was really difficult. I even skipped classes and I started to hide. But Mike noticed, and he made it his mission to bring me out of my shell. He would always bring me out of my shell, and he was always trying to include me in different conversations. Mike would insist on going to the cafeteria with me, taking me around the school to have a good view of the school building and a lot of important places around the school. Mike stood up against my bullies, and I was really very happy. I began to get my self-confidence back. I was beautiful, I knew that, but I was also very conscious of my size. But Mike didn't care. We became so close that we practically did everything together. It was really nice. Our parents started to notice our closeness, and they teased us of being in love because of the level of our closeness. I didn't see Mike in that way because he always made me feel like I was his little sister. He was always so protective of me, and I was happy. I usually thought that he was way out of my league, and I made sure to always hide my feelings. Of course, Mike had girlfriends. A lot of our female classmates flocked around Mike, and they didn't mind doing anything to get him. I was jealous of them at times, because they were the types of girls he preferred. Some of the girls were even jealous of the fact that he was close to me, but I knew that Mike didn't like me in that manner. I knew for sure that I wasn't his type. But somehow I found myself hoping that one day he would ask me to be his girlfriend. Yes, because of the way Mike and I were so close, over time I started developing feelings for him. But I hid it because I kept thinking of how he would react, whether he would turn me down or turn like the other students that always made fun of me. At that time, I didn't want to bring anything that would ruin the friendship Mike and I had. Growing up, I didn't really have any friends, so the one person that stood up for me in times of trouble, I didn't really want to ruin it because of a mere feeling. At that time, I appreciated the friendship and didn't want to ruin it. Another thing that discouraged me in telling Mike about my feelings for him was my fear of him rejecting me. I didn't want to be embarrassed. In all my life, I have been embarrassed about my look, and being turned down by someone I had feelings for then would have been the highlight for my bullies. I thought about all of these and didn't tell Mike. After high school, everyone went their own way for college. I decided to go to a college far from home because I didn't want to be in the same town as Mike, because he was still seeing me as his sister. I thought to myself that if I had left, maybe I could get over him, but it was worse. It didn't get better. Every single day I kept thinking about Mike. What even made matters worse, Mike kept in touch with me, and he was always writing to me and checking up on me. We exchanged letters, texted and made video chats. Then I knew that I didn't only have feelings for him, but I had fallen deeply in love with Mike. But I was just too scared to open up. There were months that he would just show up at my school. Whenever I was down, he was there to just boost my confidence. Of course, my new school was no different from high school, just that the high school experience was more intense. I got a lot of hurtful comments about my body shape. I thought I would get used to it, but at some point I broke down. Mike would always encourage and make me feel better. He recommended books for me to read so I could get over anything that bothers me. Mike really brought out the best in me during those times. Despite being out of shape and not really confident in myself, my vocabulary got improved and I spoke really well, just that the confidence wasn't there to speak in front of an audience. Mike really brought out the best in me. He usually came to visit me in school despite the far distance. Our bond really got stronger, and the feelings I had for him became stronger each day. But I never saw us being more because he didn't show it to me. I lost some weight, but it wasn't much. I was still plus size, but thicker in the right places. Dating was hard for me, because guys preferred more slim ladies. At one time, I tried a dating site to see if I would be lucky and get matched with a guy. The few ones I got matched with rejected me because I was too fat and wasn't the type of lady they wanted to be paired with. I got so frustrated and was angry with myself. I told Mike about my experience, and he would tell me to not go too hard on myself and stop worrying about being rejected by the men on the dating site. I adhered to his advice, and since dating was tough, I decided to just stay away. After our graduation from college, I returned back home. At that time, I wanted to plan out my life. I had a discussion with my mom, who is my best friend, about Mike. I told her how I felt about him and my fear of being rejected. My mom advised me of opening up to him if I really liked Mike that much, but I couldn't. I just let things slide and hoped for the best. 3 months after our graduation, Mike asked me out on a date as usual. We both went on several dates, but as friends and nothing more. But this particular day, the date was different from the ones we had. We had dinner at a restaurant. The atmosphere was pleasing, and the view from inside was amazing. It was just a perfect spot for a proposal. Mike and I asked each other about our future plans and also chatted about other things. We ate and drank for a while before Mike proposed to me, not just his girlfriend, but his fiancée, because we had hung out a lot more than being just his girlfriend. Mike also confessed his feelings for me and how he held on with it because he wanted us to be done with our studies before going into any relationship so as to avoid any form of distraction. It was also at that point that I confessed my feelings to him and how I held back because I thought he would reject me like how other guys did because of my size. But before I accepted his proposal, I asked Mike if he would like to be with a woman like me and wouldn't be ashamed if we were couples. Mike didn't mind all of that, and he assured me to stay with me like he always did. We hugged, and I accepted his proposal. Mike and I got married 6 months after our proposal. It took that long because I wanted to lose some weight before the wedding. At some point, I broke down because I couldn't fit into my dream wedding gown. I had always imagined that one day I would lose some weight and wear a body-fitted gown for my wedding, but I couldn't because of my cis. Mike told me that he didn't care about my size, and we should go on with the wedding with any dress because I looked beautiful regardless. But I kept on postponing the event until after 6 months before I decided to go on with it. Mike and I said our wedding vows in front of family, a small group of friends and colleagues. It was a simple wedding. I didn't want to be body shamed on that day, and so we only invited a few people. The wedding went as planned, and for the first time in a long time, I was very happy. I was happy that I was getting married to not just a guy that I had feelings for, but for someone that stood by me and supported me in everything. I couldn't wish for anything else at that time. My husband and I started a new life somewhere far away from home. We didn't want any of our family members or friends to interfere with any of our business, because at that time we were both young. Mike and I wanted to also make new friends and thought maybe a change of environment would keep me away from those that really bullied me. Of course, the new city we moved to wasn't that easy, but it was much better. 2 years after we got married, I was still at home doing nothing. Getting a job was difficult because I didn't like the work environment and was insecure. I felt like I was just stagnant, and after watching a couple of weight loss transition videos, I decided to lose weight. The first 6 months was hell, but Mike kept encouraging and told me everything was going to fall in place at the right time. I got really motivated by his words. I was also keen on getting in shape. I wanted to lose weight so badly and was ready to burn out fast. I wasn't happy with my shape. I wasn't even comfortable in my own body. I just needed to work out and be fit again. I got a personal gym instructor who taught me extra lessons. The process wasn't as easy as I had thought. A few days into the training, I had pains all over my body. At some point, I wanted to give up, but I was so determined to achieve what I wanted. Days turned into weeks, then to months, and after several months, I improved. I still didn't relent and worked even harder. After a few months more, I got into a better shape that I was comfortable with, unlike before. I wasn't as big as I used to be. I could do a lot of things that I couldn't do before, wear the type of clothes I wanted, and I was beginning to feel alive again. Mike really loved my new look and kept complimenting it. The process wasn't that easy, but it was worth it. Now this is where the real trouble begins. After my transformation, I started making new friends in the gym. Some of them even invited me to join them for a hangout. For the first time ever, I was invited to hang out and wasn't body shamed. I loved the new me, and I was so proud of myself. I liked the change I was seeing, and it made me really happy to not be too conscious of my body anymore. I felt like I was finally getting rewarded after IRSAR. Along the line, a lot of men approached me asking for my contact information. Some even wanted to go out with me. I was very happy that I was being noticed after being invisible for years. When I uploaded any pictures on my wall, I got a lot of compliments and had men flooding in my message asking me out. All of that got into my head, and I started ignoring Mike. I totally forgot about him. Mike noticed my behavior and asked if everything was okay, which I assured him. Since I got into shape, we didn't hang out as couples like we used to. I only focused on myself. That got Mike angry. We even had arguments on several occasions. Mike complained about me always going out and coming back early. At that point, I was always defensive because I didn't see anything wrong in hanging out with just a few friends. Mike didn't like it and told me to stop whatever friendship that would make me come back late at night. I didn't listen to him and continued to hang out. We stopped talking and I distanced myself from Mike. So one morning, after my husband was ready to go to work, and I was also ready to go to the gym as usual, I called Mike and told him I wanted to have a conversation with him. Without feeling any form of guilt or shame, I told him that we should open up our relationship. I told him my reason for suggesting that was because I didn't really have fun. My new friends were always talking about any time we hung out. I also told him that we could still be couples, but we both are free to have an affair outside. Mike was surprised and at the same time shocked to hear that from me. Out of anger, he threw the tray I had served him for breakfast. I was shocked to have seen that kind of reaction from Mike. The more I kept talking, the more Mike was angry. He looked like he wanted to give someone a heavy punch. Just then, he got up and punched the wall. It was so hard that his hands started bleeding. Immediately, I went inside to bring the first aid kit and help dress the wound. I stretched to take a look at his hand, but Mike pushed me out from his way. I lost balance and fell to the floor. My husband left home that morning angry and with a bleeding face. That day I kept thinking about what had happened. I was wondering how a simple suggestion would make Mike react the way he did. If he didn't like the idea, he should have objected instead of blowing hot. I didn't think too much about it and left for the gym that morning to do my normal workout routine. The gym became my favorite place. Sometimes after working out, I would stay a little longer and wait for Ryan, my new friend. Ryan and I didn't have anything other than friendship. We were just friends and nothing else. Ryan and I always have breakfast together after workout, and we talked over coffee. There were times Ryan made advances to him, but I kept turning him down because I was married. But we still maintained our friendship. So, after our usual breakfast that day, I went back home and did some house chores and watched movies throughout that day. That day, Mike didn't return back early like he used to. I tried reaching out to him, but his lines were switched off. I was worried that night, but was exhausted and was already feeling sleepy. After a while, I went to bed because I knew that he would take care of himself. The next morning, I was woken by a splash of cold water on my face. Immediately, I stood up, and I saw Mike standing with a bucket of iced water. He told me I was lucky he didn't pour on me, and also told me to get out of the house before he changed his mind. At that point, I was confused and couldn't understand what he was saying. Before I could say anything, Mike held my arm and dragged me out of the room and threw me outside. I got out and met my luggages outside. I asked him if it was a joke or not. Mike told me that going onward, I ceased to be his wife and regretted knowing me. He told me to get out of his house and accept divorce papers from him in some weeks. He said it is his little way of freeing me to have fun, like I always wanted. I began pleading with Mike that I didn't mean what I said and had only suggested it. Mike looked right into my eyes and told me how disappointed he was. He asked the gateman to throw me out of the house and ordered him not to let me into the compound. I kept begging and crying for Mike to have mercy on me and take me back, but he didn't. I didn't know where to go. We lived far away from home and didn't know of any relative I could run to for help. I thought of meeting Ryan for help, but he told me he was married and couldn't accommodate me. Most of my new friends all turned their backs on me. I was frustrated. I kept going back to the house to see if Mike would forgive me, but he didn't. All efforts to make him talk to me were in vain, and instead, he served me divorce papers 3 weeks later. I'm so doomed that I don't know what to do, guys. Update. Hi, Reddit. After 8 months, I'm here with an update on my now miserable life. Mike and I never worked things out, guys. He actually left me. Like, I cannot believe that he actually left me. I tried everything I could and it didn't work out. Yes. Right now, we both have gone our separate ways. The back and forth was too much, and one day I got really upset and signed the divorce papers and had it sent back to him. I knew there was nothing I could do to change his mind. He was very angry to have heard me talk about opening up our relationship after getting into shape. I honestly shouldn't have suggested that. My husband didn't even deserve to be treated that way. Mike stood by me through thick and thin and even stood up for me when I couldn't defend myself. I really messed up. Right now, all I want is to be with Mike and sincerely apologize for thinking stupid. I allowed my weight loss to cloud my head and didn't think straight. I wish I could express myself to Mike and tell him how sorry I am. The weight I wanted to lose so much has cost me a lot. When I started hanging out with friends and being stopped by men, I felt very alive because I never experienced it growing up like every normal teenage girl. I felt lonely and nobody ever wanted to be my friend. Mike was there for me, but I let him down. I thought going to the house one more time could make him have a change of mind, but it didn't. Mike couldn't even look at me like he used to. All I saw whenever I looked into his eyes was a man filled with so much anger and hatred. The sight of me despised him so much that he couldn't even stay in the same room with me for 10 minutes. I also brought my parents to help me talk to Mike, but all went in vain. He didn't listen to anyone, and he was bent on getting a divorce. The way he kept on embarrassing me was unbearable. At times, I do wonder if it's actually the Mike I used to know. Mike completely changed into a different person. He isn't the calm and gentle I-man used to know. Sincerely, life after being divorced is crazy. I really have nothing to substantial look forward to. It's like I'm back to square one all over again. When Mike and I got married, I wasn't doing anything. I quit freelancing altogether and was unemployed. Now that I'm fit, I still can't even get a job. The jobs I found either paid too little or had too many work hours. This has been my major challenge. I can't even go back to my parents because they wouldn't take me back. Life in the city is really hard for me right now. No money to fend for myself. Mike and I were only feeding on his own salary, and I was just too comfortable. I didn't know that a day like this would come. If anyone had told me that one day Mike and I would go out separate ways, I would have called that person crazy. There was even a time I went to the house to ask Mike to lend me some money, but I was turned off. The suffering was becoming too unbearable for me, and I just couldn't take it any longer. I thought he would pity me and help me, but he didn't. Honestly speaking, I regretted all that I did. It's been 3 months since our divorce, but I still can't get over my ex-husband. Every day, I'm stalking him to know what he's up to. Mike is really doing well for himself. He moved out from the house we rented, and he's in his own house right now. When we were still together, when we had planned to change houses, but I messed it up, I dare not show my face at his new place. The last time I went to see Mike in the house, he threatened to file for a restraining order, which I don't want to happen. Getting over Mike would not really be that easy for me. After the divorce, I realized that Mike loved me more than I had loved him, but kept wondering how he was able to move on so fast. Right now, I can't see Mike and I getting back, because he has made it clear to me on several occasions that we are done. This is the worst karma ever.